everybody. My name is Amanda Brown. I'm the Education Director for Deadwood History, and today we are going to be continuing with our virtual archaeology camp with a cookie excavation. So I'm not in a dig box today. I won't be digging any artifacts because I'm going to show you guys a way to do an archaeology lesson without having to get into the dirt. Maybe if it's like a rainy day or you don't have access to a big dig box like I have. This is another way that you can learn about archaeology while also getting a fun, tasty treat. So we've got all of the supplies that we need here today. We've got our dig site, that's our cookie. We've got some tweezers, a brush, we've got some things to dig with, and I have a pencil, as well as the things that I'll need to make a record of the archaeology site that I am digging in. So in case you missed it, we unfortunately were not able to do archaeology camp in person this year because of the coronavirus and wanting to keep our kiddos safe and socially distant. So we are doing a virtual archaeology camp through these videos. So we've gone over the things that you would need to bring to an archaeology dig, like a sunscreen and water and a great attitude. We've talked about the tools that you need for your archaeology dig, and we've talked about the ways that you record your findings. So today we're going to take a little bit of a different approach to it and do a cookie excavation. So I've got my archaeology site right here. It's on grid A right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch this same cookie onto grid B so that I have an outline of it. So I'm just going to start with the cookie, the outline of the cookie, and I can tell where I'm drawing because of where it is in these grids. That's why I have two grids. So I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing these. So right up this way, and it goes around like this. And then it's going to come around like here, and it kind of has this weird little bit up here, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going all the way around. And it doesn't have to be 100% accurate. This is kind of just a sketch, because what you're going to do is you're going to do all of your recording on this same grid. So it has this kind of little indent in there, so I've drawn a little indent right here. And I'm going to go all the way back around to the bottom. And because I can see all of these chocolate chips and chocolate chunks, those are my artifacts that I'm finding. So I'm going to draw those as well. So I know there's one right here in this box. There's an artifact right here. There's another one right there. Along the top right in here, I can see that we have a really big one right about here, and another one right here. So these are all my artifacts that I can see. So as I'm doing my site research, I'm able to see all of these artifacts that I'll eventually be able to dig out. So I've got another one right here, and one right here, and I've got a really big one right here underneath that one, and another one right next to it. It's kind of a triangle shape. And I've got one over here. You want to make sure you get all of the big ones and all of the small ones. So these little small ones that I see right here, I'm going to want to draw as well. And that's right there. We've got kind of a line of artifacts right here, starting from this side of this one all the way through this way. I think, let's see, we've got to get these over here. So right on this edge of this ridge, I've got some. And I've got one right here, and one little small one right here. And those are all the ones that I see. There's one in the ridge, so I want to make sure I get that one in there. And those are all the ones that I see. So what I'm going to start doing now is, now that I have my site mapped out, I'm going to start digging out my artifacts. So I'm going to take some toothpicks. I also have some little wooden picks like this, so that I can make sure that I'm getting in there. And like I did in the dig box, I'm not going to start in one spot and just dig a hole. I'm going to kind of go as far around as I can and keep it nice and flat. I have two spots on a separate piece of paper over here. I've got my back dirt. This would be dirt that I would sift through if I was in an actual dig site, so that I could go through it later and make sure I didn't miss any really small artifacts. And then over here is where I'm going to put all of the artifacts that I find in my archaeology site. So I'm gonna start to dig. It is gonna be a little bit messy, but that's okay. This is what archaeologists do. We have to make a mess to be able to dig in there. Now I wanna make sure that when I'm doing this, that I'm not moving my site too much, because in the real world, I wouldn't be able to move a site at all. I wouldn't be able to pick up an archaeology site and move it around. So I'm gonna keep going, keep digging. And if it gets too much of my dirt around, then I'll move it into my back dirt section so that I can go through it later. But what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and get this artifact out of here. So I'm digging, since it's right here on the edge, and I'm gonna be very careful how I do it. We do this with our regular tools too. We're very careful about how we dig out our artifacts. And you can see that this dirt is just falling away, which is great. We wanna be real careful as we get in there. I think there's an artifact right in here that I'm gonna be very careful about getting out. We'll come right over here and see if we can't maybe dig around this artifact and see if we can't get it out. As soon as it looks like it's a little bit on the loose side, I'll use my tweezers to try and pull it out. But we want to be very, very careful about how we do it. Archaeologists, they take their time as they dig so that they're not breaking anything that they might want to be digging out and studying. Let me move some of this back dirt into my back dirt pile. Whoop. This is why we're very careful. So this would be all of the dirt that I would go through a little bit later to make sure that I don't miss any of the little teeny tiny artifacts that might be in there. All right, so we're gonna keep going right in here and see if we can't get this one artifact out. You can see it's a little loose now. There's still some dirt all around the bottom, but now I think I can use these tweezers to very carefully remove it. So there's my artifact. It's a little chocolate chip. This would go right over here. And because I already have it drawn where it was on the site map, I don't need to draw it again. I haven't found anything else in there. If I keep digging, I think there might be one right in here that I didn't see from the top. So what I would do is I would mark where I found it in here. It's on this second to bottom row, about the fourth one in. So I would draw another artifact right here that I would then label and try to remove. So I would keep going, I would keep digging to try and get it out of there. This one is a little bit deeper down in there, so I'm gonna be very, very careful. But I can see it starting to show a little bit more. And we can try and remove that artifact as well. Archaeologists will sit in a site and continue to dig until they get as many artifacts out as they possibly can. Let me go ahead and move some of my back dirt out of the way so that I could sift through it later and keep trying to get this one artifact out. Because it was buried a little bit deeper, it might mean that it's a little bit older than the ones that we found on the top, like this one right here. So we're gonna see if we can't dig around the edge of this until it's nice and loose. I don't wanna pry it out, and I don't wanna, because if I pull too hard or if I dig too hard, it might break the artifact, and we don't want that to happen. So we're just kind of going around it to try and get it out. And it seems like it's starting to come loose, which is great, because then I can use my tweezers. Well, not quite. Gotta get a little bit more at the back. Looks like it's still in the dirt back here. There we go. And now I already have it on my site map, and now I have extracted it. There is my second artifact of my dig. Once I have all of my artifacts removed from my dig site, then I can go through them, I can label them, I can make sure that all of them have been labeled on my map. I can make sure that my site is nice and cleaned up, and then I can eat it. So that's always a fun little treat at the end. But because we've gone through and we made sure everything is out of there, then I know that my artifacts will be labeled and they'll be studied, and we'll be able to learn a lot about this specific dig site. So that is our cookie excavation activity. Again, this is something you can do with cookies at home. It doesn't have to even be chocolate chip cookies. If you've got raisin cookies or oatmeal cookies or those monster cookies that have everything in them, those are a lot of fun, because then you can say that chocolate chips are a certain type of artifact, like pottery shards, whereas raisins might be something like a piece of metal. All of your parts of your cookie can be different parts of an archaeology dig, things that you might find in it. So that is our cookie excavation. If you have any questions about archaeology camp or archaeology in Deadwood, go ahead and send us a message. My phone number here is 605-578-1657. You can send me an email. It's amanda@deadwoodhistory.com. And we can get you in touch with some people that might know a little bit more about Deadwood history and some archaeology. Thank you for joining us for another day of virtual archaeology camp, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.